Okay, we have people from all over the world. Could you imagine? New Jersey, New York. Well, that's all over the world for me. Very good. So let me share the screen. Just 1 second. Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Cleveland. Thank you so much. Okay. Share screen. Here we go. So welcome back, everyone. Before we start, let's check in. Get grounded and be mindful of where we are, how you're feeling, how's your inner child, have you had a busy day, or maybe not so busy, might be a little bit lonely, just to be aware of where we're coming from and where we are, and become aware of the surroundings around you. And then we go inside, we check in how we feel, physically, emotionally. And today we're going to go to step number 3 of the healing process, which is to identify the form of neglect. So we've done the first one to acknowledge the inner child. And many of us have met the inner child. Everybody in a different state, some positive, some negative, which is okay. Whatever comes up is okay. And last week, we've learned a little bit of how to validate and what it means. Basically, when we do become in touch of those feelings of their inner child, to be able to sit on the side and be there. Not to fix, not to come up with any solutions, and not to parent, which most people want to parent. You know, why shouldn't we tell our kids, tell them, or tell our own child, inner child, whatever you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, just do this, just do that. You don't have to feel that way. But what we're doing is validating, because one of the reasons why we're not in touch with our inner child is because when they were young, when we were young, we didn't have the adult to validate. So basically, subconscious, we decided, you know what? I don't need it, I'm fine. And it gets suppressed. And as if everything is fine and emotions shut down. But now that we're learning how to get back in touch and learn how to validate, so we have to be very careful when these things come up. Just be there and let it come up, no matter what comes up. There's no right or wrong. Whatever comes up, it just is. This is how you feel now. And like we mentioned, you know, if a child comes home and says they're sad about a situation, don't tell them why they shouldn't be. Or they're scared, there's a storm outside, and they're scared. They come to share. They actually come to the adult, they come to the parents, and they feel that they can share. And if the adult says, why are you being so silly? And if you do it enough times, basically what they learn is emotions. No, we got to man up. No emotions. We put it on the side, and it's not accepted. So here we are, everybody in a different way. of our beliefs, what we picked up when we're very young. But now then we connect again, we have to remember, be there and be able to validate. And then we go to number 3, which we'll be discussing tonight. Here we go, to identify the form of neglect you experience. Now, this can be a little bit tricky. To identify what happened. So if it's something that we know, is something very clear, there was a clear abuse when you were young, or very clear the relationship of the parents wasn't really the way, screaming or physical abuse. So these things are pretty much things that are not so hard to remember. And we know where we're coming from if that's what happened. But tonight we're going to be discussing a little bit more of emotional abuse and complex emotional neglect, which these things are, many people have a hard time to get in touch. And really, this is what tells us subconsciously that it's not okay to have feelings, and we're not even aware of it. So I don't know how long you're with us on this journey, but in the beginning, it might be harder to understand. What are we discussing? What's the emotions? How do I feel it? And eventually, slowly, with a little bit of information every week, you get in touch. You slowly look out, and you realize things you do like, things you don't like, and you become in touch again with those emotions, which for many were shut down because of whatever neglect it was. And again, if it was something that you can identify right away, probably verbal abuse or physical abuse or something that really happened, or somebody, for example, if somebody was in a car accident, so they know when they were young, they were in a car accident, and it's something that they're scared of, but it's something that they know. But if it's emotional abuse or emotional neglect, sometimes people are not aware of it. And they could be walking around saying, I had a pretty nice, I grew up, things were okay. That's where the complex comes in. You're not even aware. Emotional abuse, sometimes you could identify it very fast if you had a parent or an adult who always used to constantly belittle. So then you are aware of it. But when it comes to the complex emotional neglect, is really what they didn't get. So childhood emotional neglect, it happens when a parent doesn't give the child the needs that they need. So it's something that you might not notice, but subconsciously you might feel disconnected, not needed. And like we said, the feelings, nobody is able to be there for them to understand, to give them to understand what the feelings are. And complex basically means it's like a series of events. It's not like a one-time thing. It happens, it can be daily, weekly, and slowly the child thinks it's something that's normal. I guess this is life. This is normal. And eventually you shut down. So it is important to be aware of if somebody is having a hard time to remember. So remember your childhood. So we did come up 2 weeks ago, like certain ideas of just to sit back and try to remember, what were your dreams? What did life look like? Where did you grow up? Who were your friends? Maybe you were bullied, maybe not. Maybe you weren't included. Have you moved many times? What was it like? Did you have someone to talk to? Or in school? Friends, these just small things, and sit there and remember. And it might take time for people to come up with these stories. But slowly you can start feeling that there could be a deep sense of loneliness, of maybe a lack of protection that you would have needed, wanted from an adult, or you might have wished that you wanted some more information by certain things that happened, and maybe you tried asking somebody and you had no one to talk to. So when you take time and you go back to think about those young years, and it's not always comfortable because eventually things come up, whether positive, negative, you start remembering stories. Many people, when they start on this journey, they don't remember much. Everything was fine. But when that happens, if somebody feels they don't remember too much and everything was fine, basically what that means, that it's possible that it's shut down. You don't want to remember. And there are probably reasons why. So if you do take time and you just see what comes up, remember small stories, your relationships with friends and adults and where you went, and let them come up. You can write them down and you start feeling certain feelings. If it gets too hard, then obviously a lot of this work, many people would need to do this with a therapist because it brings up real trauma. And there's a reason why they don't want to go back there. But it is very important, like I'm saying, that there are people that are walking around saying everything is fine. What happens is that now, as an adult, they also think everything is fine. But they're trying to figure out, why am I not feeling content? Why am I not happy with where I am? There is something missing. And the same way they're disconnected from their youth, they're disconnected from their emotions now also. So we need to open it up a little bit. So gently, let's open it up. And again, if it's too hard and you have to seek out to do it with professionals, there are a lot of therapists out there that do this every day. But this is basic, the idea to identify the form of neglect, the stories. It doesn't have to be anything major. It could be something small, how you felt. Now, some people want to know, how do I know if I had emotional neglect? Here are some ideas of, if you feel these feelings, then probably you had somewhere something that you couldn't connect to. So let's see them. Number one, you're not aware of your feelings, like we discussed. Not aware of it when you were young, and you're not aware of it now. You're saying everything is fine. Everything fine means no ups and downs. I'm good. I do every day the same thing. I'm fine. No ups and downs. No ups and downs? How could that be? So basically, you're not in touch. And then if somebody's on their phone all day, or they're busy with their routine, which from the outside looks amazing, but they can't take time to stop and just relax and be with themselves, to just be, and go from a human doing, which we do all day, to become a human being, just be. So they have a hard time doing that. Then there are people who feel there's something missing. I am so successful. Things are working out. Baruch Hashem, I look around, there's a lot to thank Hashem for. But for some reason, there's something inside of me that you can't pinpoint what it is. There's something missing. I don't feel, and you can't even explain it. So there's something inside over there that I need to discuss. Some people can feel hollow. There's like some hole, emptiness, disconnected. They get easily overwhelmed or discouraged, a low self-esteem. They don't really believe in themselves, in what they do. Perfectionism. It's only when I do something perfect, which is not possible because we're human. So the person's walking around empty, not believing that he's okay, she's okay, and things are working out. They're accomplishing because nothing is perfect. And when feelings come up, whether it's yourself or somebody sharing, feelings are bad. Then you're self-critical, feel shame, it comes up a lot, and hard time trusting others. But I want to stop for a second to discuss that deep sense of disconnect, of loneliness, which we know that it doesn't mean you have friends or not. You can have a lot of friends, especially today, which is on social media. You can have a lot of followers. You could be busy. It looks like you're popular. But when you close that phone, before you go to sleep, when the world is sleeping, you're by yourself. There's a sense of loneliness, something you're not sure what it is. And usually that's a connection with the self, how you perceive yourself. And that's what we're discussing, something that we picked up. It might be a belief when we're young about yourself. Who am I? And just to be with myself. And that could be the inner child that we need to connect to. So these are some feelings that if somebody feels, usually it means there's some form of neglect when they were younger. Now, before we continue, we're just going to go on to just like a few of parenting, how people parent, and to see if we've gone through these again, we're not here to blame. It's just to become aware and to see how we need to parent ourselves before we go on to parent our inner child. We want to become aware of how, when we grew up, what types of parents did we have? So we're going to go through the 6 types, and we'll do it a little bit, I guess, slow and fast. You don't have to understand it right away. You let it sink in, see if something comes up, if it resonates with you. So let's do this. The first one, authoritarian parents. What do they want? All they want from the children is to follow the rules. And they have very little time or inclination for listening to a child's feeling and needs. All they want is, there's something that you need to follow. This is what we do. And that's it. There's nothing much to talk about. And children usually have a lot of emotions when they're young. They want to discuss, they want to share. But again, all these they want is just do the way I said, and this is how it works. So what happens when these kids get older? Some of them might rebel and say, why? Why should I follow? Why should I just do what they wanted me to do? I don't want to. So they can rebel against authority, or they become submissive. They don't rebel, but they're not really following. They're just let things go the way they want. Just let it go. So this is idea number 1. Then you have permissive parents to let the children pretty much fend for themselves. Take care of yourself. If you need something, go get it. Do we have to do it? The parents are not really available. And those kids who grow up with parents that are not available have a hard time understanding. They have a hard time setting boundaries, setting limits. Maybe there was no bedtime. I don't know how they got to school, if there was no getting the bus in the morning, or maybe they walked late if you live in a place where you can walk. And whatever happens, happens. Parents are just not available. Let it happen. Then you have sometimes parents with narcissistic qualities. They feel the world revolves around them. I need you to do certain things because of me. So everything is about the parents. The parents are building their house, so the kids need to do what they want, what the parents want. So they also don't have time to discuss with the child what do they feel, what would they want. Maybe they want something different. So they have a difficult time identifying what the child needs. The child doesn't know. Basically, they can shut down. I don't have any needs, or they don't deserve. I don't have needs, I don't deserve needs. You're not in touch with the needs because there's no me. I'm not important. So when you grow up, you might be doing the right thing. And from the outside, it looks beautiful, but there could be something inside nagging. And it all comes from those early years that it didn't give you that permission, that feeling of that you deserve, and just to listen to you. Perfectionistic parents. So they need their kids to be perfect because they are perfect, or they try to be perfect. And they try to push their kids, which from the outside looks amazing. You can do more, you can do better. If you think about it, there's a lot of anxiety. There's never a situation where you can just, fine. The kid came home with an 82 or a 75. What happens if the kid comes home with 69? It's over. They need their kids to do 100, 101, 102, always can be better. These are the parents who may complain when a child brings home a report card with all A's and one B, because what do they see? The only thing they see is the B. Take a test, 10 questions. 9 is right, 1 is wrong. What do you see? That's the perfectionist. We see that only that lack, only that you can do much better. Why didn't you get that one right? All you see is what's wrong. So what happened to these kids? They may grow up to be perfectionists because the only way you're accepted is if you're like my parents, and I have to be like them. So that's perfectionism. And then they set unrealistic, high expectations for themselves. So there you go. You understand where anxiety comes in, and always feeling not enough. So here you go. You have this person who is from the outside perfect, and they're constantly they're working and doing great, and their expectations is amazing. And people say, I wish I can be like that person. Just everything around them looks perfect. But really what's happening is they never can stop, because that's something inside nagging and saying, you're not enough. You have to continue. You're not enough. You have to continue. How long can that last? How long could it last? And that's why we can't come back, come down, come to ourselves, and just be. And the last one is the absent parents, removed from a child's life for many reasons. It can be a death, illness, divorce. They work long hours. They travel. Now, these kids, they grow up by themselves. And if it's an oldest child, they take care of the family. And from the outside, again, it looks perfect. It looks amazing. She's the one who runs the home. But she didn't have her childhood. And if you're the oldest and you feel this way, you have to let yourself, that little inner child didn't have those years that just understand me, where I am, and what I need. And this is what we need to stop and go back there, feel, and let's live again and believe that we're enough. Basically, next week, we're going to continue on number 4, is to embrace your emotions, because stopping and doing these exercises could be hard. What we need to do is, number 1, see what comes up, learn how to sit with these emotions. And many times, what we do need is a therapist. So before we finish tonight, I would like to do the affirmations again. Let's see what it brings up. And with that, we'll end. So take a deep breath. If you're still up, relax yourself and just listen to what I'm saying. It's okay to feel this way. My feelings are valid. I'm proud of myself. This is hard. What do I need to cope or feel better? It's okay to cry. I'm making progress. I am worthy. I'm more than my accomplishments or failures. My self-worth isn't based on other people's opinions. Everyone makes mistakes. My feelings matter, and I will listen to what they're telling me. I trust my instincts. Not everyone likes me, and that's okay. I like myself. What do you like about yourself? And we mentioned you should come up with a list of 10 things. It could be hard for many people. Say, I am a calm person. I am brave. I am reliable. I have leadership skills. And you can see when I say this, and if you do it slower, the negative sometimes can come up. If I say, I am a calm person, really? Sometimes I get mad. But that doesn't mean you're not a calm person. So 80% of the time you're calm. Why are you not finding that 80%? Take credit for that. And even if it's only 20%, you got to start somewhere. So that's it for tonight. If you have any questions, you can raise your hands, put them in the chat, and let me know if what came up while we were doing the work, if you were able to identify to any of these ideas, anything that came up when you were younger, or even at the end when I said the affirmations, what negative comes up, or maybe you have some positives to share, which I would be more than glad to listen to. So thank you very much. Please share whatever came up, any questions in the chat, so we can get them answered. For those who have a hard time connecting to those feelings, just give yourself a few minutes a week, a few minutes a day, just to sit, and you'll see things are going to come up. Things will come up. We don't know what it is, and that's part of the work. We don't know what we're feeling. When you feel you have to take out that phone, and you tell yourself, I'm okay, and just continue breathing, there's some feeling inside of you saying, don't do this. During the affirmation, yes, this is beautiful. My feet start tingling during the affirmation, not sure why. So I'll tell you why. While we do this work, changing the way we think, and we're slowing down, saying these affirmations, sometimes you can connect to them, sometimes you can't, but we do feel changes in our physical body too. And that's part of it. Because what we're looking for is to relax, to stop, and to get our body rejuvenated again. Because if we're always running, there's always anxiety, and it can be subtle anxiety. So that's good. You start feeling physical feelings. I am an oldest, and it's possible that you're going between perfectionism and being absent. Yes, 100%. Very important. Just let these things come up. You're only going to realize it when you stop. Take a few minutes every day and see what comes up. Certain things you want to do and you're not doing because of perfectionism, or you're not in touch. Stay there and breathe. See what comes up. Wow. There's a lot of positives and negatives, but beautiful. These things that you remember moving into uncle's house. Yes, all of those feelings. Did you have someone to talk to about it? Especially if they weren't healthy. And many times, again, we're not here to blame. The adults were going through whatever they're going through, like maybe they didn't go to such a training, or their parents talk about Holocaust survivors. It's important to realize where we're coming from and what we feel. If you feel like your teenage years were taken from you, it's never too late. And we're not discussing even teenage, we're talking about little kids. What if you feel like you didn't have that chance to just play? And there's research out there that adults they should have some time in their day which they just play. Sounds funny. What would you do if you would give yourself a few minutes to play? It sounds, for some people, they look at me like I'm crazy, but that connects you back to who you are, believing that, yes, I am. I don't need to perform to be. I just am who I am. And I'm happy. And I love myself. And you could come up with whatever it is. Okay, thank you very much for your feedback, which is amazing. Continue with the work. It might be a little bit hard. If you could continue by yourself, beautiful. If you need to reach out to professionals, do yourself the favor. Sit into a room with somebody that could understand. Hold your hands. But if you could do it yourself, it's basically spending some time with yourself and see what comes up. Thank you very much. Thank you and have a good night and a great, great week. You can always send anything that comes up to Coach Menachem at gmail.com. For those who want to listen to the recordings, you can find it at menachembernfeld.com, top left. You'll find all the 20 past recordings. Thank you and have a good night.